Tonight is a very special episode. You may have heard, but I've just recently got back from Tanzania, where I was part of a team that took on the challenge of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I think it was the 29th of January. We all met up at the airport, and at that point, we were pretty much strangers. Never met each other, all trying to work each other out, trying to have a bit of a laugh and see how it was going to go. But then from that point onwards, I think we all went on the biggest adventure that we've ever been on in our entire lives. And by the time we got back to the UK about 10 days later, it felt like we'd made friends for life, that we were family. We were up on that mountain for 10 days. There was a lot of suffering, but there was also a lot of laughter, a lot of singing and dancing. I promise not by me. I can't dance. Believe that. And a lot of farting, to be honest, more than I've ever been around. But I think we'll just move on from that. So it's really a privilege for me this evening to introduce you to Team 21. So that's Aaron, Ashley, Callum, Freddie, Harrison, Jacob, John, Keegan, Malia, Martin, Mike, Ryan, Sarah, Steve, Tommy, and Via. Unfortunately, tonight, Freddie can't make it. He's probably fell over and he's probably receiving medical attention at the moment, knowing him. I'm sure you'll find out what that is all about later on. And as well, Jacob can't turn up either tonight, and possibly not Callum, but I just wanted to mention their names anyway. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and I'm going to start with Sarah, who does work for the DSA. If you hear me mention the DSA this evening, that's the Down Syndrome Association. And the DA is Discovery Adventure, who were the people that took us up the mountain. But I'm going to start with you, Sarah. Could you firstly introduce yourself and then tell people how it started around the DSA, about us doing a challenge and how that sort of thing took off?
Sure. So my name's Sarah. I work for the Down Syndrome Association as a work officer. So my role is to support people that have Down syndrome into work. The DSA in general runs a lot of fundraising events throughout the years. As a national charity, we rely very much on fundraising of all sorts of shapes and sizes. And we have standard things throughout the year, such as skydiving, the London Marathon, all sorts of events that we have. And really, this story started last year when Aitch and his team decided to jump out of a plane and raise some money. And I believe this year it kind of carried on from Mike speaking to head of fundraising and having a look about sort of what was going to be the next step. What can they do to top jumping out of a plane? So I think I'd sort of hand over to Mike at this point, because I know you started the conversation and I don't know really where you got that decision from to climb Kilimanjaro. So basically I'm blaming you, Mike, for your decision to climb Kilimanjaro.
Well, just before we do that, it was lovely that I got to drive up from Cornwall, where we all sort of live-ish, me, you and John in the car. And when we picked you up at Exeter, you and John had a probably about an hour conversation. Because one of your jobs is to get people with Down syndrome into work, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So we work with, all sorts of different employers, large international companies, very small independent companies. And WorkFit's a very bespoke supported employment service where we very much focus on the individual person and finding the right job for them, and then supporting the employer and getting them to understand reasonable adjustments and how to support this young person in the workplace.
I mean, I was blown away. You definitely have had all sorts of answers about why people can't get into employment and all that sort of stuff, but you have literally got an answer for everything, and I loved it. I loved the conversation.
You kind of have to. There's so many barriers, there's so many different reasons, and it's always easier for employers to say no. It's easier not to do something new. It's easier not to try something. Let's just not bother. So it's trying to explain to employers, the absolute benefit.
Yeah.
I don't ever see that the employer is doing me a favour. I very much see it that I'm doing them a favour. I'm giving them an amazing person that's going to bring so much to the team, even if they don't know it at that point.
I mean, I loved it because all your answers, there was no real aggression or anything like that. You was just meeting it with curiosity, and I really admired that. It was a really great conversation to listen to. So I appreciate that. It was nice to get to know you. I realized that you was a proper powerhouse when it came to that. So I didn't mess with you from that point. That's for sure.
But I'm still after some jobs, so it's fine. I'll still be hustling people for those for candidates.
Fair enough. I love it. So I'm going to move on to Mike, because as Sarah says, I think you sound like you were the catalyst of all this, Mike.
Good evening. You okay?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. Thank you. I'm great.
I'm loving the fire in the background, mate.
It's not real.
Yeah, you just didn't have to say that. I was going to believe it. Like,
give the game away. Give the game away. You know what I mean? It's AI. No, it's not real.
So, I mean, like, as Sarah said, it was a lot to do with you and Aitch and the whole team. So can you talk about how it sort of came around? Because you jumped out of a plane last year.
Yeah, last year we approached the DSA through obviously Harrison's prominence in the public eye. We did the parachute jump last year, and then it was discussions between Georgina and Haley and other people. It was like, what can we do? I think we spoke about this while we was away. It's sort of like, how do we catch people's attention really to drag the sponsors in and the fundraising aspects of it, because people sort of like want you to maybe put yourself at a little bit of risk to make it a little bit more appealing for people to put their hands in the pockets, I suppose. So yeah, it was like me and Georgina had a conversation. It was like, well, let's have a think, let's see, and we'll come back with some ideas in 3 or 4 weeks. And then she came back to me one day. She just went, I'm just going to put this to you, say no if you want. She said, how about climbing Kilimanjaro? And I think I'd said yeah before she finished the sentence, basically. So it was just like, yeah, let's do it. If that's the biggest thing we can do, present time, let's get on it and let's do it. We always knew we'd grab people to do it, the likes of Harrison, his friend group, and a couple of other people, around my friendship group, so to speak. And then obviously the great people like yourself and Sarah and Melia and John who were took along with us, So it was, for me, it was just such an easy thing to say yes to, really.
Yeah. Was it something that you'd wanted to do before that, or any of you, do you think?
I think everyone, well, everyone's different, but I think it was something that I would have always liked to have done. But facilitating it is always a difficult thing, isn't it? In one respect, we was pretty blessed that we've done it on the back of the charity. It's sort of like giving us the opportunity, I suppose, to do things we may never have done before. So it's sort of like it's a double-edged thing, really. We've raised great funds and we've had the opportunity to do something so great.
Yeah, and it was great, man. I mean, we're going to get into it in a little while about what happened while we were out there. But I mean, if we can pull Ryan and Martin into this conversation, because they're really good friends of yours, right?
Do you see him?
Oh, yeah, I can see him, mate. How are you?
Mate? Yeah, good, mate. Good.
I mean, rumor has it, buddy, that you didn't sleep a wink while you were out there. Is that right?
Still not slept a wink.
Why didn't he sleep a wink, mate? What's that all about?
Long story.
Ryan kept on nudging me.
No, I think I only nudged you once on the whole trip. I think that was it.
So the idea, the thing is that Martin basically, he snores, right? Really loudly, like to the point where I think he woke up everybody on the entire mountain. And then the next day we're having breakfast and he says he's barely slept a wink. And you're like, what? You kept everyone awake. What are you talking about? And then it just became like a joke, really, didn't it? So just speaking to Mike there, and he was saying about you being good friends. When did you decide to join the team, and when did it hit you what you signed up for, I suppose?
Well, Mike had phoned me and asked me, like he said, before it even come out of his mouth, the answer was yeah, straight away. So couldn't wait to get involved and get part of it and get going. And we've done a bit of training for it, and everything was good. Yeah.
Right. I mean, what did you do training wise? Because I know I
just
did stuff.
We went out walking every Sunday. We tried to get out every Sunday, and then done a bit of altitude training like yourself. We just done everything that we could really to prepare for it.
Yeah. So, and how do you think that worked out? Do you think that it prepared you?
Nothing can prepare you for that mountain.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Nothing at all can prepare you for that mountain.
No, it was a far bigger task than I think anyone can. I think the only way you can really train for something like that is to do it, right? It's just
that's it. Just get up there and see if you can get there. So
I agree, and it was an adventure of a lifetime. It really was. So
was.
Thanks for that, lads. I'm going to move over to Aitch now. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all, mate. Not too bad. I'm going to tell people how much was raised at the end, but a lot of money was raised. When did you realize that this challenge would raise as much money as it was going to do, you know, for something so close to your heart? I'm certainly feeling proud of what we've accomplished. How do you feel about it? And when did you realize it was going to start taking off?
Yeah, definitely over the moon. It's nice, man. It's a nice feeling. In terms of knowing that I was gonna make a lot of money, you never really know, to be honest. But the fact that we've done the skydive before and we raised a lot of money through that, we kind of that was kind of like a bit of a confidence booster in terms of what we could raise for the charity. So we kind of just pushed it a little bit harder and we just made the right moves. We just made the right moves in terms of promoting it and in terms of like making people feel a little bit more involved and whatnot. And it just, and maybe people was feeling a little bit extra nice this year.
Well, I heard that you all walked into the Aitch Centre and you had your test, right? And I'm not going to say you told me this, but I heard that everybody went through the test and everybody had work to do, except for one person, you, mate. Apparently, you smashed it. How do you feel about that?
That's what I'm hearing. That's what the streets are saying. I never said it. That's just what I'm hearing on the streets.
You've not mentioned it, mate. Not at all.
Yeah, no, never once. Nah, good, to be honest. Like, do you know what? I'll be dead honest with you, yeah? I wasn't really like, that wasn't the first worry of mine, to be honest. I had quite childish worries. I was more thinking like, what's the food going to be like? I'm going to end up not eating for 6 days. Stuff like that. So the altitude thing was kind of not even at the forefront of my mind, to be honest. But I also think that that's what helped me when it came to actually doing the mountain. Kind of like made that like not an option from before we even got there in my head.
Yeah, and I think going in with that attitude is always going to be helpful. I mean, I had it as a fear from the very beginning, and I think to a degree you're right. I think you can bring that on, can't you, a little bit? Because it certainly did for myself anyway. When we were out there, obviously there was some filming going on, and we're going to talk to Aaron in a minute about how that all went, because he was like a mountain goat. He was everywhere, and he definitely was pulling the double shift. But I found the whole story about it all. You know, I noticed that you had that tattoo on your arm, and you explained it to me. What it was and everything, and then explained, you know, that it potentially is going to have a lot to do with the documentary. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, man. So basically, my sister just got to a certain age, and every night before she goes to bed, or if I'm going out and she walks me to the front door, the last thing she says to me is, "Don't be afraid." And that's just been a thing for ages now, for like a couple of years. So it ended up getting drilled in my head a little bit, and I felt like I was just like, could never be defeated off anyone when she used to say it to me. So I got it tattooed. I think it's a good saying. It's a good saying because it works in a lot of different situations. It doesn't always mean whatever Gracie means by it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, you got it tattooed in handwriting as well, right? Which I thought was a cool thing, man. That's a cool thing, and you know, that had a lot to. That was quite the saying, really. Don't be afraid. I think we said it to. I think you said it to me just before I bowed off the hill.
Yeah, nah.
11 o'clock at night.
It was perfect, you know. But that's why it kind of like means so much as well, because she just came and said it out of the blue one day. It wasn't a one-time thing. She's always saying it now. She's said it ever since. And then I don't know. We've ended up doing this. The challenge, the Kilimanjaro challenge, and then that just came into play. You know what I mean? And then even weird little moments like when we was all eating dinner and Vic said, "Don't be afraid," and he didn't have a clue about the tattoo or anything that my sister said on the documentary, and it was like, yeah, this is like the one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Vic. We couldn't have a whole conversation without mentioning Vic. What a legend he was, right? I miss him. I do.
What a legend! What a legend! He can't come today because you would have had to make the podcast 18 plus.
Mate, I don't think anyone's old enough to listen to Vic. Yeah, he's something else. He was a straight talking Yorkshireman, and man, he needs censoring. Like he's not for today's life, is he?
He was a legend. No, he was a very nice man, and he meant well at all times, and he looked after us well. And
he really did. He was one of the best leaders I've ever been up a mountain with. So you know, I really respect him. I got a lot of time for him. I managed to get a picture at the airport just before we left because I was worried I wouldn't. But nice. Thanks for that, Aitch, mate. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move on to Aaron now. So you were filming the whole thing I've never seen anything like it. Every time I turn around, you were somewhere up on top of a rock, hanging out a tree, something, whatever it was. Wading for a river. I don't know what you're doing, but you were everywhere. I mean,
Getting them angles, Johnny.
that's right, man. I mean, what was that like? I mean, it felt to me like you were pulling a bit of a double shift, man. And I think in the end, it became quite an important part of the job for you, and may have been one of the reasons why you summited. Is that right?
Yeah. I think it made it like way easier. I think to be honest, I think if I weren't doing it, I definitely wouldn't have made it to the top. And I've got raging ADHD, so I think I would have been bored if I didn't have anything to do. And I think just help me get there. I think it was easier doing it than not doing it.
As somebody like who you film things, you're into all of that. I mean, what was the things out there that you really thought, wow, this is a real privilege to film all this? What were some of the moments?
The emotions,
yeah,
I thought were special. The views, and I don't know many people that have actually filmed it the way I did, like a one-man crew. And yeah, I just can't wait for people to see it.
What do you think was one of the most powerful emotions that you saw? What was the one that really nearly got you, sort of thing? You were quite solid the whole way through, but who was it for you?
Keegan.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, tell me what happened.
Obviously, he just got signed off by the doctor, innit?
Yeah, it was quite an intense moment. It was quite an intense moment.
Crying my eyes out behind the camera.
Yeah, well, no one ever know that now. And now you've told them. It's fine. This is going to be what's on Instagram. Totally. Mate, thanks for that. I mean, you're an absolute legend. You really were. I couldn't believe what I saw you doing. You were just absolutely everywhere. I got a lot of respect for that. So well done, mate. And from what I hear, it's looking amazing. I mean, well, you tell me, how's it looking?
Oh, yeah, it's looking really good. It's a work in progress at the minute. We're going to do some more filming. But yeah, looking amazing. Better than I could have ever imagined.
Wow, that's brilliant, man. Well done, mate. Well done.
Thank you, bro.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through everybody and I'm going to ask you one question. And that is, what drew you to this challenge and what your most memorable moment was? And Aaron, as you're here, we might as well start with you, mate.
To be honest, I didn't think I got asked to do it ages ago and I just said yes without thinking about it. And then all of a sudden it was 2 weeks away. And then, yeah, I just thought if I thought about it, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw you in the hotel at Heathrow, I've never seen anyone so chilled in my life. I was like, does he know what he's doing? Does he know?
Yeah.
Turns out you did know what you're doing.
No preparation, no training. Anything, as Martin said, nothing could prepare you for that anyway.
No, right. And what was your most memorable moment?
Just getting to the top. From what I remember of it, it felt like a bit of it felt like a dream, and I can't, like, that feeling I couldn't have described. And then all of a sudden I blinked and I was back down to that main camp. Yeah, just making it to the top, really, I think, because I didn't think I'd do it.
Do you think that's one of the biggest achievements you've ever achieved?
Yeah, defo, because I'm shit with my eating. So I thought that was a big factor of it. I don't like getting up early, that sort of thing. And now anytime like I get up early or I complain about anything, I just think, oh, I'll never be worse than getting up at 4 a.m. and doing that last summit, that last night. That was horrible. So I just appreciate life more. And I think, like, even like the porters and stuff, that opened my mind a bit. I just thought, like,
what was it about that? I mean, these people were carrying some weight up that hill, weren't they? It was
like getting up, setting our tents up, cooking for us, everything. And they did it with a smile on their face. So I thought, that's just like, wow, people are at home complaining.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have had Google Translate running and just to see what they were really saying. That'd have been quite interesting, I think. Find out what they were really saying about us. They were like, oh my God, look at him. Like something like that. All right, mate, thanks for that. I'm going to move over to Ashley now. Ashley, I'm going to ask you the same question.
How you doing?
How you doing, brother? Hey. Introduce this little one.
So this is my son, Douglas.
Hey.
Yeah.
Very cute.
He's very chatty tonight. So yeah, apologies if you start screaming.
Hey, no apologies needed. What's that? Is that something on his hands?
Yeah, he's been eating raspberries and blueberries this evening.
Properly been eating raspberries. Look at that. He's just putting them all over the place. I love it.
Yeah, he's been enjoying them tonight. So.
You haven't got any raspberries on you though, mate. What's going on?
Right. There's food everywhere on this floor.
So what drew you to the challenge and what was your most memorable moment?
So what drew me to the challenge? Back in, I think it was May, I had a fundraising email come through when I was actually on holiday. I was in Jamaica at the time, and I was sat by the pool and I was flicking through and I thought, oh, I'd really like that. And I remember showing it to Roxy and going, do you reckon I could do this sort of thing? And it all started from there. So that was back in May, but it wasn't till end of July that I committed to do it. So there was a lot of hesitation in doing it, but I'm so glad now that I have, and to have met all you guys, and it was the best experience ever. So
Yeah, did you have a bit of the blues when you got back a little bit? Like just it was
definitely,
it was
yeah.
hard, wasn't it? It was a
I was
hard
seeing
race.
like our messages across WhatsApp, and I was thinking, yeah, don't do nothing stupid, and we all go do a skydive.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah.
Like by the end of the day, we'd all sorted ourselves to jump out of a plane, like whatever. No one listened to anything I said, clearly. But what was your most memorable moment, do you think?
I've got to match Aaron and say that it's just reaching the top. I cannot describe the feeling. There's a video that I made, and I'm just sobbing. And I watch it back now, and to me, it didn't make much sense, but I showed it to the family and just thanked a load of different people, and really special moment. But to caveat that, the realization that you've then got to go down hits, that was a killer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, from what I hear, that was something. That was a lot of shale, and there was a lot of emotions at the bottom. When people got back to camp, it sounded like it was a hell of a time at the top there, man. So, as I said before, I didn't make it to the top. Thank you, mate. Thanks
I
for
also
that.
want to add, I did it for the charity, but I also did it for Dougie as well. So
Yeah,
I want to make him proud, and I can tell him that when he's older as well.
and for yourself, mate. And
Oh,
for
yeah,
yourself.
definitely.
I think you've got to do something like that. There's got to be a part of you that's doing it for yourself. Otherwise, when it gets really difficult, it becomes really hard, But I think there was so many different reasons, and that's why I'm asking, what your memorable moment was and what drew you to it. Because to get up there, I mean, like that day you're talking about in particular, I think what would have been walking like 10 hours, something like that. And we get into camp, we wake up about 5, we woke up about 4-ish or something, got set off at 5, climbed up Barranca Wall, which was basically like a sheer drop. And then we were up and down, and we get there after 10 hours, and then we've got a bit of food, into bed, and then, what you're talking 4 hours, and then you're back on the track again and you're going uphill again. So that was savage. And for everybody that made it to the top, it was one hell of a thing to do, man. And I hope that you're all proud of yourself, because it was that took some, and then to get down, like you say, and then to find out that in a couple of hours you've got to start walking again. I mean, it's just it's insanity.
Yeah.
So well done, mate. Well done, and thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No, thank you.
So next up, Harrison Aitch.
Hello.
We know what drew you to this. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know that. What did drew you to it? Was it obviously Gracie and the whole cause, right?
Yeah, the whole cause. To be honest, obviously, I just always said to my dad whenever my dad mentioned the DSA and whatnot, and like doing things for him and fundraising and whatnot, I always just said, yeah, whatever the weather, just it's a yes from me, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it was one of them, and yeah, just for the whole cause, and just understanding a little bit more myself about certain things, and just having more of a personal reason to want to raise awareness for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you definitely did that, mate. And what was your most memorable moment?
Can I say I've got a couple, to be honest.
Go on.
Right. So one of them, I'm gonna say, right. So I reckon before I went on the mountain, I was in a bit of a mindset of not being a fan of people. Like, just there was like a lot of I felt like there was a lot of negativity around, sort of thing, and I didn't want to be talking to people and whatnot. And then I've come on this trip, and it made me realize everyone's not like that. It's just that I'm surrounding myself, or I'm keeping myself in bubbles that are like that. Do you get what I mean? That was a good little one for me, that like I came back thinking there's actually really nice people about.
When I first met you, we didn't know each other and all that sort of stuff. There wasn't a lot of words spoken. But then what I really loved was, it must be hard being in your position. It must be hard to trust different people, and you have all these like wild experiences and all them different things. And what I saw was you just slowly become yourself. And like there was a sense of freedom I got for you where you could just be yourself and you wasn't surrounded by, say, fans or people that love your music, although you were stopped a few times on the mountain and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
man, defo.
you know, so it was nice to see that, and it's nice to see you spending time with your dad and your friends and just enjoying yourself and singing and all those things. You were definitely one of the people that kept the energy up on the whole trip. So grateful for that.
Yeah, no, defo, man. It was good, man. I felt I was in a nice place. So yeah, that was good. And then one of my most other memorable moments was having an absolute mare on the toilet in camp, and I needed some wipes, and Ryan thought it'd be funny to come to the tent and like pass me one wipe, like that was gonna help me whatsoever. And that was a little moment I'll never forget as well. I'm not gonna go into detail what happened.
I don't think you should do that now.
But
and
but
sorry,
yeah,
when we say toilet, we're talking about a literal little box in a tent on a mountain, aren't we?
We're talking about when you stand up from the toilet, your nose wipes across the tent because it's so narrow. We're talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's not a toilet as you might think it, whoever's listening. It's just, it's not at all. So yeah, quite the predicament. Yeah. It was an adventure and it brought out the best in everybody, I think, and the worst at times. But we went through all the emotions and yeah, I'll forever be grateful for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to John, Mr. Kind. Where are you? Does he fell asleep? Bless him. Someone shake him.
I'm old, and I. You know what I mean?
How old are you? 60 what?
I'm only 35. I had a paper round, didn't I?
No need to lie. Right. So, what drew you to this challenge, and what was your most memorable moment?
First of all, what experience you can't put into words. You just can't, and that's the start off. But from the very start, I'm involved with Hayley, who's part of the DSA and does all the comms and everything. And she mentioned it one day. We were talking about it, and I said, "Wow, that's amazing. That'll be just like awesome," you know. And I didn't know who was taking part at that point because of my past being ex-service and some of the expeditions I've been involved with, but not for quite some time. And I was quite a lot younger then as well, and I wasn't injured. So that really sort of like got me really interested. I just wanted to raise as much as we could and raise the awareness of, you know, Down syndrome. And that's what I've been doing was in my work as well. And I've taken what we were talking about in Sarah and I've taken that to work. But you talk about memorable, you know, my most memorable man, there's just every day was a massive memory of what we did and achievement. You know, I massively enjoyed it. But we're all said about, you know, getting to the summit and everything. That's what, you know, but everybody had their own summit and everything. And one of my people were talking to me since I've been back at work and said, "Oh, you know, how was it?" and everything. And I just said, "I've got this vision in my head and I wish I'd have had a camera." And it was on summit morning when we were climbing, and we'd been climbing for a fair few hours. And I had this massive head torch on, and obviously I was at the front behind Shack, and I sort of like turned round and my beam sort of transpired across everyone who was behind me in the one long line. And I just got, every time I close my eyes and think about it, I see everybody's faces because everybody looked up, and I see these faces of like anxiety, pain. What are we doing here? You know, and I just want this to end. And then it was like, just I see everybody's faces, you know, and that to me is one of the most memorable things of what everybody had gone through. But it's in my head, you know what I mean? Every time I think about it and I talk to people about it, is amazing. But me being in the ex-forces and living in sort of like when you're in with a team away at sea in a close confined environment, that's sort of what we were at. And I just love that comradeship. And it was amazing for me to see that people, and I reiterate what you said and what Harrison said there about having to deal with people and get on and see how it worked. But I just loved how people just got on with it and we just became a team. To me, like I said, it was like a disaster movie, innit? Everybody in, and it's like we make it work.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant to find that about everybody's character, and everybody brought something different to the party. And
They did. One of my favorite moments definitely was there was that one day where, you know, I hope you don't mind me saying, you were struggling particularly
Yeah,
that day, and it was having a bit of an emotional day. In them moments, there's not a lot of words that can be said to help somebody. They just got to work through it, and they got to let them emotions come in and go out. But then when we got to where we were going to, and then Harrison said, "You're the man of the match," and then everyone was like, "There's only one Johnny kind."
it was
That
brilliant.
to
You
me,
know,
that was one of my
so many
favorite things to
memories.
see.
It was
No, but you
fantastic
needed
to
that.
see.
You needed
Yeah,
that,
I did.
and to see
did.
that, and I saw.
yeah.
I mean, didn't help the emotion at all, did
No,
it?
it
Like,
didn't.
he was
It
he had
didn't.
pretty much had a breakdown after that, but it
But
was
they did
beautiful to see.
the same thing when we got to the summit, and
Mm.
I sort of got my stone out, and I was set just to do my own little bit, and Harrison and everything, and as went, you know, he started filming me, and I was like, I said, I'm just going to leave this stone here, and then everybody was clapping and cheering, and it was just like, wow.
Well, if you don't mind, just before I move on to the next person, just explain what the stone represented.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was I lost my mum last year through dementia, and having to look after my mum as well really opened my eyes about looking after people, so I can appreciate how things, you know, and again with Downs, how people look after in different ways. So yeah, and the stone was from a Gwydion beach where I spend a lot of time with my daughter. And in memory of my mom, we just found a sort of like love shape stone, wrote grandma and mom. And that's what I wanted to leave on there. So I was supposed to leave my mom's glasses on top of there, but I forgot to take it.
Well, I think you did a good enough job. I
Yeah.
really do. I mean, I know you must be proud of yourself, and I'm proud of you, mate, because I know that you had a lot of concerns, just like everyone did, and nothing made me happier than to see you get to the top. You needed that, and you deserved it. So good for you, brother.
I think the hardest thing I don't know, like everyone else, I've massively struggled the last 2 weeks, but it was just so tiring. It's taken me 2 weeks to get my head and just get myself back together, you know. So
well, you're looking fit, mate. You're looking fit. So good for you. You know,
thanks,
I'm
everyone.
fine.
Superb.
Right, I'm going to move on.
Team.
Is Keegan there? Is Keegan there, or is he driving?
He's here right now, but he's driving, so he can't hold the phone, but I'm here with him.
All right, well, just do me a favour. Ask him what his most memorable moment was.
Most memorable moment. He's got to go on. Talk to him.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, of course.
Right, so my first one is when I had to descend on the hill. When I was sat there with a oxygen mask on, seeing everyone's emotions and that sort of hit me. I was like, right, never seen that many emotions at like one time. It was spun my head round there after throwing me. I thought, oh, I'm gonna start crying. And seeing that Aaron's tears in my shoulder and that, just looking at everyone, and it's just mad. And even people who didn't even know 2 weeks ago are there, even emotional about me. It's just like, right, it's mental. Do you know what I mean? It was crazy.
That was, man. That was a real situation, and I know we have fun about it a little bit, but it was a real situation, and
yeah, it was intense, man. It was intense.
That's exactly what it was. It was intense. It was.
Yeah, it got to me. That bit got to me.
And when he left with all my snacks, so I was starving for the rest of his trip. Let's not forget about that.
Most importantly, you left with all Aitch's snacks, you arsehole.
Yeah.
Do you even love him, man? What's going on?
I know.
The second moment was at the bottom of the mountain when everyone come down, and it was like, and this is a flip of emotions that would happen when I come back. Everyone was buzzing, everyone was like, and it was just nice. It was a bit heartwarming, and seeing everyone, proud of everyone, every single one of us. It's mad.
Did you feel relief? Because I know that I didn't make it to the summit. I made it to the last camp, and then I got altitude sickness as well. But I know that when they came back down from the top of the mountain, I was so bloody relieved to see them. Did you feel that when everyone got to the bottom?
Yeah, I was buzzing. It was like seeing a ghost, isn't it? You're like speechless and that. You just don't even know what to say to them because you don't know what they've been through.
Yeah,
but it's mad because I thought it was tough to where I got to, so I couldn't imagine how tough it was to get to the top. And everyone was just dead happy and that, and all the vibes are high, and that. It was just amazing, man, to see everyone done what they wanted to do in it, and it was just nice to see. I was dead happy for everyone.
Yeah. It was amazing. Is Via in there as well, isn't she? She's there too.
Yeah, Via's hiding in the back over here. There you go.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How is everyone?
You really do look well, like compared to the last time I saw you.
I've got my hair extensions back in now, so I feel more human.
Oh, good, good. How are you feeling? You feeling all right?
Yeah, definitely. Really good,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, good. So, what was your most memorable moment?
There was quite a lot, I can't lie, but I think the one that sticks out the most is when we got to the summit and I opened my eyes for what felt like the first time in about 3 days. I was lay on the floor, like in the snow, and I just looked up and the clouds were just moving so quickly, like unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. And I just immediately went, nope, and just closed my eyes again because it was making me feel really sick. And I honestly think I'll remember that 2 seconds or whatever it was for the rest of my life. It was crazy.
It must have felt like you were on mushrooms or something.
It was honestly the weirdest feeling ever. But yeah, it was really good.
Because and I hope you don't mind me saying, you felt unwell as well, didn't you? So it was a real struggle for you to get to the top, you know? But you did
Yeah,
it.
definitely. There's a few times that I thought, yeah, no, I'm done for, but managed to keep going, which now I'm very glad about.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but there must have been a lot of doubt at the time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, well done. That's crazy. I mean, being at the top of a mountain is weird. It sounds different, right? It's like got this sort of mute to it, isn't it? Like this like muted sound to it. It's a weird place to be. So well done, because I know it was a real struggle for you, and you still managed to get there. Whether you're awake or not is another thing, but but you did really well. Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice one.
That's
Thank you for that. What I'm going to do now is move over to Malia. Where are you? Are you here? She's live
Hi.
and direct from Washington.
Yes. How are you?
Look you look like you're about to give a presidential speech.
Dressed up for you guys.
That's lovely. We appreciate it. Okay, so what was your most memorable moment?
I had two as well. One was going up on summit night, but this was when we were quite close to the summit. The sun had come up, and I was struggling. The further up we got, and it got harder and harder to keep my eyes open. And Freddie was behind me, and he was doing a really good job just trying to keep me distracted with conversation. So at one point, he starts asking me about who's your favorite singer, what kind of music do you like, and I'm talking to him about this Bollywood singer he knows nothing about. And then I see Jimmy, I think he like overheard the conversation, and he started singing this very famous Bollywood song. And I'm just like, who is doing this? And he got, this wasn't his language, but he sang several lines of this very, very famous song. And it
Wow.
just raised my spirits, and I started singing along with him. And then thinking about it afterwards, I was like, I must have hallucinated this whole episode, because I'm just like, I'm on this mountain and this guy is just singing the song to me. I'm like, all right. So that was a really special moment. And the other one was, coming down at the very, very end. I was in rough shape, and I think I was like the last person down. And just being cheered on by the group was really special, really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was special. I mean, yeah, Jimmy was a hell of a character. He was one of the guides that took us up there. He was just full of energy. He was always singing. He was always coming up with little things to shout and say and things like that. You have so many highs when you're on the mountain, but there are some real lows as well. There's some times where you're hungry, you're tired, and you just had enough. You just don't want to be there anymore, no matter how beautiful it is, because it's just, I mean, we were walking 10-hour days most time, sometimes more than that. It's properly uphill for most of it as well. You've got the heat, you're feeling nauseous, you're not sleeping very well. And when people start breaking out into song and singing, especially like it happened for you, it is really uplifting. It's everything in that moment, isn't it? What was your biggest takeaway, do you think? Because I'm going to run out of time if I don't ask everybody that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I think the phrase "pole pole" is just kind of stuck in my head from that. It will stay with me forever, meaning slowly, and just how continuously the guys were reminding us to keep it slow. And the idea that you can climb a mountain if you take things slowly and approach things with the right mindset, I think that's broadly applicable to life in general, just kind of taking things slow and steady, and finding some patience.
I think you've screwed it up for everybody now, because that's the best answer. That's brilliant. No, you're right. That's a really good takeaway. I like that a lot. If you can just take it slowly, you can climb a mountain one step at a time. It's really quite beautiful. Thanks for that. Thank you very much. Right, Martin,
Yeah.
you're looking good, mate. You're looking like you got over your sunburn and all that.
Not slept a week.
Yeah. So, I would just ask you, like, what was your most memorable moment and your biggest takeaway from the whole trip?
There's a couple really. We're getting to Stella Point and thought it was at the top. And broke down into tears. And then Steve turns around and says, it's about an hour that way. That was one. And when Mike wanted to punch the porter's head in at the bottom, when we thought was at the bottom, and he's got to be an easier way than this. He's got to be an easier way than this. But yeah, it's so, and the love that everyone had for each other, and they had everyone's back. Everyone looked after each other, made sure everyone was okay, and how they made a birthday cake on the mountain.
Tell them about that. That was amazing.
I don't know how until this day they've done that. So,
it was your birthday, right?
Yeah.
And what happened?
And they just come in with a cake and started. Well, they couldn't sing, but Alison started it off and started singing "Happy Birthday," and everyone got onto it then and thing. But everyone knew about it, barring me, obviously. And then, well, I sort of like half got on it when everyone started having the phones pointing in my face and Aaron's going around the corner with his camera. So,
but it was a hell of a cake, wasn't it? It was really good.
Yeah,
how they did that on the hill was just ridiculous.
It's unreal. So.
And was that your most memorable moment? Do you think?
Well, getting to the top, obviously, but the birthday cake was something else when unless they've got it brought up and thing. But yeah, it was a nice little touch.
It was, mate. It was. And what was your biggest takeaway from the whole trip? Do you think?
Well, I know what I didn't take away: my boxer shorts.
Oh wow! Somewhere on that mountain, it's your boxers.
Yeah, just like the friendship that everyone's got with each other. Like we met strangers, and everyone's like friends now, and just like the love that everyone had for each other on the mountain. Really, that was a good thing. And
everyone went through emotions, didn't they? One of my memorable moments was seeing you when you got to the bottom. Well, not to the bottom, when you come back down from the summit. And I just gave you that big hug, man, and you was just it was emotional. We was emotional.
I was broke by that. It was the descent, really. It was coming down. We was just in pieces.
Do you know what I find really amazing about that, right? Is that it was you and Mike that I saw, and then afterwards I get told that you looked at Mike and said, "Oh, Johnny's smiling." You were worried about me. I was like, "What are you worried about me? I didn't even go to the top."
I said he's good. He's smiling. I'm happy. Yeah, and then we come down and get the biggest hug off you, and then I just broke down into pieces then.
Which is not surprising because it looked savage, and
it was.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I'm going to move on to Mike if he's still here, or he's probably off James Bonding. He's probably doing something.
No, mate, I'm still here. Intrigued at everyone's answers, Yeah,
it's interesting, eh? It's interesting to see what I'm loving it. It's nice to see what people, because asking people, there was no way we could have had this conversation just after we got back because we were all a bit in shock.
Yeah, definitely. You couldn't have asked it then. Yeah, I think everyone was in a bit of turmoil, which no matter where you'd ended up, so to speak, I think it was a bit of a mishmash of emotions, wasn't it, for everyone, I suppose, But
it was.
But for me, memory-wise, one Martin just mentioned, actually, one of my biggest memories was a worry, and that was when we walked, and I said, "What's Johnny like?" As we come down to the bottom, I was worried about you being, because we'd see you go in the morning, and so one of my biggest memories was actually being worried about you and what your reaction was like as we came down. Not that you'd have a bad reaction, but just to sort of like we became friends like we did with everybody else, but it was like it was on our minds, you know what I mean, where you was, because he was obviously in a little bit of a bad way, a few hours before, and then like I say, when Martin said you was smiling, that was one of the best feelings for me, as much as getting to the top or wherever or however far you got, and I think that's coupled with, if we can all think really, there wasn't one cross word between anybody in 6 days.
No,
and that's quite difficult. A lot of different characters, age groups, etc., etc. And it was, I don't remember one argument. The worst thing that happened was the doctor moved Marty's 10, 20 yards away from ours. You know what I mean? Because of the snoring, you know. So you know, Snowder the Explorer got moved on a little bit, you know, but you know, so I think, like say, over such a, you know, massive experience and whatever we've done physically, mentally, everything else, for there not to be, I wasn't present anyway when there was any crosswords between anybody, which I think is fantastic, you know, based on the mix, you know, and everything else. But obviously the top's a great thing. It is a bit of a blur. Like I think someone mentioned before, it is a bit dreamy, really. And the other thing, I suppose, for me was just spending time with Harrison, I suppose, in one way, you know, which we don't get a lot of time to do. And I don't think a lot of parents get time to do with, you know, your sons or your daughters once they get to a certain age, you know. And so that'll be one that I hold sort of like in a special place for a long time.
As you know, I got 2 sons, and actually, it was one of the biggest privileges of that trip was watching you and Harrison. Just the little moments that you had off to the side, and just little things. It was really nice. You could tell that you both were cherishing it. So that was really lovely. As a dad of 2 boys, I enjoyed watching that.
Thank you.
So, but I remember the morning of that. So not the morning, the evening when we were supposed to summit. Well, I was supposed to summit. And I remember looking at Vic, and he knew I'd been sick, right? He knew I'd been sick. He knew I had a pounding head and a pounding heart rate and all that. And I just looked at him, and because I knew that Ellen had sent him, basically, because Ellen wasn't having any of it. She's like, I can't talk to him. So I said to him, listen, just let me try. And he was just like, okay. And I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then we get like half an hour in, and he just walks up to me and he goes, how's trying going, lad? I was like, not good, not good.
Nice
not
and
really
straight,
good.
nice and straight to the point.
Straight to it.
You
He doesn't leave you with much wiggle room, does he? At all?
No, not at all. No. But do you not think, like, from right from the very beginning, no matter where you ended up, that built it all. It was all a foundation of everything. It was like, we'll do it for Sarah, we'll do it for Keegan, you know. And it was all about everyone played just as important part as everybody else. You know what I mean? It was sort of like, you know, it all came together really as one, didn't it? Really, I suppose.
What was your biggest takeaway, do you think?
Appreciation, I think. You know, I think we're all sort of like quite in a privileged place. You know what I mean? I don't think any of us are sort of like in a position where it's overly bad at home or anything else. And when you see what, you know, these guys do on the mountain for us, the porters and people like that, you know, you just got to sit back and think, you know what, like Aaron said, really, you know, which is nice to see sort of like some of the younger guys have seen that and they see that, you know, it's, we're quite blessed really, aren't we, I suppose, you know.
We were blessed. And the truth of it is, obviously, I wish I'd have got to the top, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't change a thing because the whole trip was just fantastic. I'll never forget it, you know, so... Thank you, mate. I'm just gonna got a couple more people to talk to. Hope that's all good with everybody. Ryan, just gonna ask you what your most memorable memory was and your biggest takeaway.
All right.
Yeah, how are you?
Loads of memories. Loads. Yeah. Could write a book, couldn't we, between us? Getting to the top was amazing. Massive personal achievement. Just from literally from leaving when we set off on that walk that day, just little things that stick in your head. It's all coming back to me now because you forget what actually went on, and then you think, oh, I forgot about that day, and I remembered this and I remembered that. It was just an unforgettable experience that I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
You were definitely one of the people that brought the energy up with your singing, mate. What do you reckon? You got a little verse in you or no?
Looks a bit sore at me.
I prepared for this.
you don't know the words.
I know what by heart now. Go on, mate, on the wall.
Go on, give us a little verse. Come on.
1 minute.
Oh, he's drinking.
Go on, right.
I wanna be a guy.
Okay.
No, but going off the subject, it was just amazing. Everyone was amazing. I'm hitting the nail on the head. He said everyone got on with everyone. If there's no one of us that you'd turn around, people was looking out for each other. If someone was a little bit down, it was just good vibes, wasn't it? Just mega vibes through camp, from the off. It was just amazing.
One of my favorite things was, so the song you were going to sing there was Stereophonics, Make Friends in the Morning. Is that right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
And you were singing that the whole way through. Once you started singing, everyone was singing. And then we went to the top. We came down. We got to that restaurant, and you made that fella retune his guitar. So he'd been singing for the hour or two that we were all there, having a nice little dinner and that, and it was the best food I think I'd ever had.
It was
And then at
amazing.
the end, you walk over and you're like, "Come on, retune your guitar, you're ready." And then you just spout out the chorus, which was about 3 or 4 seconds long, and then just walked off. The guy had totally retuned his guitar for you, and you were just like, "I'm out, see you later." Like, proper diva that.
We could got a bit of stage fright, I think, in the end. I think I sang it too much on the mountain. I'd left it on the mountain.
You did.
I remember
mate,
before we left, and I was thinking like, what tracks would be good to play over there? And I do love that song, and I just thought, obviously, it got played quite a lot and got sung quite a lot on the mountain.
It's fabulous. It is literally, for me, it's that song is like, I've listened to it a couple of times. I've never listened to it before. I never even knew it existed. And funny enough, I was on the radio the other day and they were asking me some songs that I like, and I said, "You gotta play that song. You gotta play that song." So that was quite cool. And I just sat there and I was just like, "You can't cry on the radio. Come on." Keep it together.
It does make it emotional, doesn't it? You know,
It does, because it just reminds me of all you lot and everything that we went through, man. So I'm grateful for that, if anything. But what's your biggest takeaway?
Well, you just said it. You know, in life, with everything we're fast, you're always rushing about now. Like, say, the poly thing. Sometimes you just need to stop and take in what's going on in life sometimes and appreciate what's happening around you instead of what's happening next. And that's one of the things I think I took from there as well. I mean, sometimes you obviously was out for 12 hours a day and you'd be stopping every now and then. I'd stop myself and I'd be turning around and taking it all in and thinking, this is just unbelievable, you know, need to do this more, really. Yeah, so I did.
I'll never forget your face when we got to the top of Barranca Wall and they had tea and cake in at the top. And you looked at me like, "What the hell?" You were so happy. I've never seen anyone so happy in my life.
Just amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, just making us throughs everywhere. It was amazing, unforgettable experience. Everyone was amazing. It was great.
Well, thank you, mate. And sorry I put you on the spot, but you did your best. You know what I mean? And no, I can't edit it out. It's staying in.
No problem.
Nice one, mate. I'm going to move on to Sarah now. Sarah, same question to you. What was your most memorable moment and what your biggest takeaway?
Honestly, again, I didn't get a chance to summit. So I think my most memorable moment was literally all setting off together. So being there at Machami Gate, going through and having, we all had to be scanned. And Harrison made that very sensible comment about he didn't have a gun on him. And we all kind of just glossed over that very quickly. But just all setting off as a team and all having those expectations and the unknown and not knowing what was in front of any of us, not knowing that I'd be coming back down in about 12 hours, another 7 hours up and 7 hours down. So that is a memorable moment. But then as a takeaway, and I'd said this at the time, that when I came down and I was sat there in the hotel, and as I was walking down, I thought, am I going to get to the hotel and burst into tears and be really sad and really disappointed that I didn't do what I wanted to do? And it didn't. And I kept thinking, this is going to come. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. But I was just embracing the time that I had. I have a very busy life. I very rarely get time by myself. So having that time by myself, I was really, really grateful for. And I think, and I'd written when we all made a note on the big poster that sometimes you don't get what you want, you get what you need. Ooh. And I definitely needed that time. I needed that space. I thought I wanted a challenge. I thought I wanted an adventure. And I did get that. But I also think I needed some time and space for my own thoughts. So I think that's what I took away from that.
What a fantastic takeaway. I love that. I really do. That's really well said, actually. And I can relate in some part too. I was the same when I came down and I sat in the tent. I was like, right, what are we doing, Johnny? Are we going to cry? Are we going to get upset? But I couldn't help but just, there was this knowing that I'd made the right shout, that I'd made the right decision and that I couldn't shake it. It was the right thing to do. I can sit here all day and pretend this and pretend that, but this just wasn't in me to get to the top that day. It wasn't going to happen. And I think it was Vic that said, you reached your summit. And I was like, okay. You know, obviously there's I'm gutted, or I'd love to have got to the top, but it just wasn't in the cards for me on that day. So I can
And I
relate
think
to
I
that.
would have liked that different certificate. I think that was the best for me.
Yeah. I got one. You're lucky. At least yours has got your name on it. Mine's got Joe on it. You know, which I've convinced myself is a different person, so it's fine.
I'm 27 on mine.
You're taking that to the bank, aren't you? Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. So who's next? I'm going to move on to Tommy.
Hello.
Hello, mate. Oh, look at him. No. How you doing, brother?
I'm very, very good. What about you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm okay. How's it been getting back to real life?
Oh, it's been weird, you know. Yeah, just very surreal, the coming back into it, and, you know, sleeping in a nice bed and waking up with a hot shower in the morning, and just all the little things like opening the bathroom door and turning on a light. Just the little stuff like that is went so unnoticed.
Sound like you've been to prison.
I know.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what that when you got one of my funniest moments was watching you when all your family met you. What was it? What did it say on that side?
Welcome home from prison, Tommy, I think is what it said.
I actually think legitimately there were people at the airport like, wow, has he been to prison?
Coming out from shackles.
That was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. Obviously, your family got a sense of humor. So, what was your most memorable moment and your biggest takeaway?
So you know what? My most memorable moment was when we were at the last camp before the summit, and we were just having dinner and cracking a few jokes and just getting along. And it was Vic just went, right, serious mode now. This is what's going to happen in the next 15 hours. And then he said, all you need to do now, he said, you've done it in your feet, you've done it in your heart. It's now a mental game. And you need to imagine the person that you're doing this for is sat up there waiting for you at the top to come get them down. And that is literally, that's stuck with me every single day since he said that to me. I just remember everyone laughing, and then the faces just dropped. And it was like, it's on now. Like, this is it. This is the final bit. That was just the most memorable thing I can just think of, just looking around and seeing everyone else just react differently. And yeah, it was really, really nice to see the change in the emotion and how serious everyone got about it. It was lovely. And then obviously, you know, Aitch stealing my room key when we were getting drunk at the bar. And then, God, Tommy the Mank, that's a classic one as well, isn't it? Like, I could go
I've
on
still
and
got
on.
a photograph of you where Vic said, because you were sat down amongst us all, weren't you? And he said it looked like you'd been abducted. I've got the picture of you because you did. You literally look like you've been
Sat on my
abducted.
knees.
Like mouth help if you need us. Like,
Yeah.
it was crazy. So yeah, I've still got that up, mate. I'm so glad you brought that up because that was really special, wasn't it? Because I don't think anyone expected that from him. And then when he said it, it was like, I call that like a wet fish slap in the face moment. It's like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
game on, you know. And it immediately made everyone zero in a bit. And I think Harrison, he did a little rap, didn't he, as well? Which was cool. Yeah, that mentioned everybody's name, and that was nice and fun and stuff. And then Vic come in with that. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because that was a powerful moment. What do you think your biggest takeaway was?
I'm only 20 years old now, or nearly 21, but I've always struggled a lot in life with confidence. So I now live my life day to day by waking up and going, well, if I can, you know, climb the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, I can get out of bed, you know, or I can do this, I can do that. Like, it's just, I don't sit around and lounge and mooch. I get up and I do stuff now, which, you know, it's only been just under 3 weeks, but this has really changed my outlook on life, I think, in a very, very, very positive way. So
I feel all filled with pride for you now, mate. I really do.
thank you. Yeah.
I know I do because you're a cracking lad, and everyone out for a different reason. And like I said, everyone went up there for obviously the DSA, but you have to go up there for yourself as well. And it sounds like you got a little something from that too. So I'm really proud of you, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much.
20 years old, man. Climbed a mountain. No, that's pretty epic.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that. Pretty good, isn't it? I suppose. I love that. I'm just going to flick back to Harrison. Just ask you what your biggest takeaway is, and then we're going to shut this thing down, if that's all right, everybody.
My biggest takeaway, I think the main thing for me was I do a lot of things to look good in terms of being a rapper. That's what it's about, and I need to look like the man. That's just how it goes. So it was good to do something that was just genuine and like still feel just as much of a bad man doing that as I would doing a music video with a big expensive car and this, you know what I mean, or whatever. So like that was nice. It made me feel like the man a little bit. So that was like a good little personal one. And then also, like I said before, just the way, just my mood, you know, it like to narrow it down. Really, my mood, my mood changed a lot since I've done it because of my take on people and conversation. I feel like I've been having the same conversation with the same people for the past 6 years. Do you get what I mean? You know, and it was nice to just get out of that a little for a little minute and just like experience what I did and just pick people's brains and that and whatever. So yeah. And also, I don't know if my dad said it or Ryan said it, but like just appreciation. And I'm not even gonna allow myself to be in the mood over something or sad about something. And if I am, I'll just snap out of it so quick because of what we've done on that mountain and just the realization of certain things. So
Giving you a different perspective by the sound of it.
yeah, definitely, 100%.
Nice one.
100%, yeah.
Let's move on to Steve and then we'll wrap this thing up. Thanks for that, Aitch. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can you see us, Johnny?
Ah,
There you
nice
go.
to see you, man. Hello. Introduce.
Hey, it's Alfie. Hey, hello, Johnny.
Hi, Johnny.
How you doing,
Hello,
Alfie?
everybody.
I love the t-shirt.
What have we got today? We're on Iron Man. aren't we?
Man.
Iron Man. Iron Man or Captain America.
Iron Man.
Nice. Steve, mate, it's good to see you, brother. What was your most memorable moment and then your biggest takeaway?
Well, I think the most memorable moment, Martin's already mentioned it. Getting
Your
up to
first
Stella
Stella.
Point, getting a big hug from Martin and then having to break it to him. Mate, we still got another hour to go.
You're not supposed to have enjoyed that, mate.
You know, it was tough, but we had a laugh. The other memorable thing, really, obviously getting to the top was great. Now, that was good. What did I take away from it? I think the main thing we've all commented on, 17 people from different walks of life, different countries and all sorts of how we all got on so well together. That was just superb.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would like to think that we could meet up in 10 years' time and, you know, we can remember the good times, remember the hard times. That we all got on so well.
Do we climb it again, Steve, in 10 years?
No, I don't think I would climb it again in 10 years.
Just no.
Back to the question, 10 years' time, would I do it again? Not that, but I'd certainly love to do another challenge with you guys. I think my next challenge is going to be getting this one into bed.
Mate, I'll leave you with that, but it's lovely to meet you.
Right, so bye-bye, Johnny.
Take care.
Bye-bye,
Yeah,
everybody. I'm
Night.
going to bed, mate. Cheers, Johnny.
See you later, mate. Thank you. All right. Well, I think it's time to bring this to the end. Listen, guys, it's been a real pleasure talking to you all tonight. It's been nice to have this debrief. And like I said, I think it was to Mike. I don't know if we could have done it any earlier than this. I think we're all still traumatized. But it's been really lovely listening to you guys and hearing your greatest takeaways. For me, I think my biggest takeaway was the whole thing, which is a bit of a get out of jail free card type thing. But I just think that was a hell of an adventure. And I feel like when I got back, I had made friends for life and we've all stayed in contact. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for the adventure. And I appreciate your time tonight, man. So thank you very much. So as promised, that big figure, what did Team 21 manage to raise for the Down Syndrome Association so they can help so many families that live with Down syndrome every day, help and support and train and educate and just signpost. And this is one of those organizations that really does make a difference. They do exactly what they say on the tin. So it was an absolute privilege to be part of Team 21 to raise this figure. So without further ado, we managed to raise £159,054. I mean, yeah, don't really know what to say to that. That is, I think I heard, I might not be correct in saying this. I think that's the largest figure they've managed to raise at the Down Syndrome Association. And it couldn't happen without lots of different people. I won't be able to thank everyone, but I want to start by thanking Georgina, Hayley and Emma at the DSA. Although they wasn't the only ones doing the work, they are the people that I had the most contact with. And to say they were all emotionally invested is an understatement. There were lots of tears at the airport, both when we left and when we got back. And that was the other thing. They met us at the airport, which was really does go to show how important this was to them. So thank you, Georgina. Thank you, Hayley. And thank you, Emma. And at the Discover Adventure, they are the trip providers. They're the people that took us out there and kept us safe, along with Santi Tours out in Kilimanjaro. I want to say thank you to Vic, our leader. He was the best mountain leader I've ever had. He was absolutely brilliant. He knew when to sprinkle in that humor, and man, he was funny. Trust me, he really was. He knew when to be serious. He had great advice, great experience. Really, really got a lot of respect and a lot of gratitude for Vic. So thank you, Vic. I personally want to say a huge thank you, struggle to articulate how grateful I am to the doctor, Ellen. Ellen was not just there for me when I really needed her, because I was, I know I've played it down during this episode, but I was really, really sick and it wasn't a good experience. And if I'm honest, it was very scary this time. In the past, when I've had altitude sickness, I kind of got it and it sort of never really progressed, but it was pretty bad. But this time it was getting worse and worse and worse, which was concerning. And Ellen was there with great advice, the right medications, and really looked after me, as she did with absolutely everybody on the whole entire trip. And I know that everybody has said to me how incredible she was on that trip. So thank you, Ellen. You were absolutely amazing, and I will be forever grateful for looking after me, and so was everyone else on the trip. So thank you very much. And then everybody back home at the Discover Adventure, answering questions, arranging things and all of that. Just incredible team. I can't recommend them enough if you're looking to go on an adventure. So yeah, definitely check them out. I'll put the link in the bio. And then the Haley and her family over in Tanzania for the incredible lunch that we had as we came down from the mountain. That was, I've got to admit, on the way down, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be able to stomach any food because I was still feeling a bit sick. But when I got in there and I saw that lamb curry, and they had the most incredible singers, and the whole thing was just it was like a dream, if I'm honest. So thank you for that. That will certainly be a moment I will never forget. So that's all my thank yous. If there's anyone I've missed out, I'm very, very sorry, and let me know and I will reach out to you personally. But everything was just absolutely incredible. It was an experience I'll never forget. So thank you for watching this episode. I hope you found it as entertaining as I did, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week.